We're back.
Back. Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to another live edition or another edition, I say, of Live Feed Reads. I'm Paul Reed Yost with my Ed McMahon, Jason Crawford. What is it? May the 20th, 2022. It was raining earlier, sunny out now, so I don't know what the heck's going on. I know I have a golf game tomorrow, so I hope it doesn't rain. How about your Tampa Bay Lightning?
Yeah,
How? What a
man.
game, huh? Holy
Crazy.
crap a moly.
Crazy. You
Less
talking
than
about the
four
one where they
seconds. Less than four
recalled the?
seconds left.
Oh, okay, different one. Okay.
Yeah, last night it was a 1-1 tie. Looks like it was going into overtime, third period, and with 3.8 or 9 seconds left, go!
Nice.
and we
Yeah.
won. It was beautiful. So
Far
game
cry
three,
from the other
people.
game.
Game three is Sunday. Normally it's
Yeah.
a two every other day. This one is they're skipping 2 days, which is going to help because, dude, we got guys that are hurt. You should have seen it last night. They were
Yeah.
taking pucks off the face.
Ooh.
They were taking pucks on Stammer on his hand. I mean,
Jeez.
knees, legs. It was last night was a brutal game.
Brutal.
Uh,
Jeez.
uh,
You know what? I love hockey. I grew up in Birmingham. We had this team called the Birmingham Bulls,
no, I'm sorry.
and I said I grew up in
Oh
Birmingham.
no, I heard you. I'm just sorry.
Oh. Oh man.
Ah, boom.
All right,
All
boom,
right, go
got me. All
ahead.
right, zing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So no, but we had this team, and I used to love going to the rink and watching them. And baseball didn't really. I loved playing baseball, but it didn't draw me in to watch it.
oh, you
And
communist.
no, I enjoyed playing it so much more, and the thrill of watching it is not the same as playing it. No, but hockey, there's just something about a sport where, when it hits the fan and the gloves come off, and it's like 2 minutes is worth it to
Yeah,
teach you
yeah.
a
It's
lesson.
definitely literally nonstop action. Period.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Even the line changes are just they don't
Oh yeah.
pause the
No,
game. They
it
just
is.
yeah.
It is. All right. So let's. So
Sorry.
I've gotten uh, more than my share of calls literally this week on evictions. Now, we
Okay.
don't do evictions. As a lawyer, and I have the basics on evictions and so forth. But
Hmm.
what seems to be happening is um, these kind of landlords that aren't property managers, or they're it's not an apartment complex and so forth that has attorneys and basically knows how to evict people. These are more you and I'm renting you a house or a mobile home, you
Okay.
name it.
Self landlording and
That kind of deal. And
yeah.
what happens is um, most of the time is has to do with not paying rent. Not
Yeah.
always,
Okay.
but not paying rent or just some other dispute. I personally think what's going on, and it seems like it because a lot of it's not paying rent is people now want to can sell their house for way more than it's worth.
Oh
So
yeah.
they're wanting to throw people out immediately.
And cash in. Yeah.
Exactly, and that
Especially if
seems
it's
to
not your
be
primary residence, like
that
you can
seems
just
exactly that seems to
oh
be a
yeah.
trend, I suppose, especially for the lower socioeconomically situated individuals.
Okay. Okay.
And so they're getting notices. Hey, you got to get out within 24 hours. I mean, that's
Mm.
really the gist of it. Or you got to get out in 3 days. And
Wow.
yeah, and the tenants, the people that are calling me are freaking out and panicking.
Yeah. How can you
Where am I
even
going to
get your
go
stuff
in
together?
24 hours? I've got kids, I've got animals,
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got this, I've got that. Well, here's the deal, people.
Okay.
Don't fret. No one can make you leave in a barring maybe you if you're destroying the house, but let's leave like totally destroying the house exception out of this
Sure.
conversation.
Stuff you could be
I don't
arrested
want to
for.
say no one, but I'm just talking about you're having a financial dispute with the landlord, or some other dispute that has nothing to do with you totally trashing and destroying the property. Because
Yeah.
that's really I haven't got any of those calls from a landlord saying, hey, how do I kick someone out who's just destroying my home. It's more some dispute over parking on the grass or not painting the house, or a few of it is the tenants are calling and saying, hey, the air conditioner doesn't work, they won't come fix it. What do I do? The plumbing, I got a call yesterday. The plumbing is totally defective, and it's backing up into the dishwasher and this, that, and the other, and he won't come fix it. So some of it is, how do I make my landlord fix these things? And what happens is they complain to the landlord and they get an eviction notice. You got to be out tomorrow. Things like that. Yeah. Well, here's how it works. And this is basically, the landlord has to give you notice. And so, and they have to give you an eviction notice. And there's different time periods associated with that notice. There's a non-payment of rent. This is your appointment reminder. Okay, there's a non-payment of rent is a 3-day notice. But that doesn't mean you have to be out in 3 days. It just means you have 3 days. Let's say I say, Jason, you owe me $1,000 last month's rent. I'm going to evict you if you don't pay. Okay. Okay, so you come in day 1 or day 2. Yeah, shit, sorry about that. I just slipped my mind, or not have to be a real jackass. But sure, either way, you pay. Boom, you have cured the problem. All right. But so you have 3 days to cure that one. Some violation of the agreement. Let's say you're supposed to, I don't know, mow the yard at your expense, or you're supposed to, you name it, pressure wash the driveway once a month. Whatever is in the agreement that you agreed to, you don't do it. I have to give you a 7-day notice that I plan on evicting you. Now, mind you, these notices aren't, you have 3 days to comply or get out. Right. It's the notice period I have to give you in which you can comply with it. And if you don't, then I have to go through then I can start the process. Correct. Yeah. And then it's still a process even after that. The month tenancies, which are a lot of these, because that's just how people seem to be doing it. So that's a 15-day notice. Okay, meaning I'm ending your tenancy at the end of this month, or but I'm ending your tenancy. It's not you don't have a lease. It's month to month. I give you a 15-day notice. At that point, you have 15 days to get out, or like you said, I can commence the eviction. All right. So let's just say, for whatever reason, I don't know, you don't have the money on a non-payment, or you disagree that the agreement says I have to do this, that, and the other. Yeah. And well, the month to month's pretty cut and dry. If you got a month to month tenancy and I give you the proper notice, you have to leave, or I can then file the eviction complaint. Okay. Now the complaint is simply this: I have to go down. We're going to talk Hillsborough County. I've got to go down, or you can do it online, but I've got to go down to the clerk of the court's office and file a formal eviction complaint. Okay. So think about from kicking me out 3 days before I can do that on name payment. So even if they put a notice, you're not leaving anytime soon. Violation of the agreement, 7 days, and month to month, 15 days. Okay. So I file the complaint. What do I have to do next as the landlord? I have to serve it on you. So I got to basically pay a process server to come to Jason's house and hand it to him. Well, if the process server comes to your house, now an eviction, and I don't know the action, you may be able to. Yeah, are they able to just leave it? Leave it on the door. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. But either way, whatever the process is for serving an eviction, it has to be followed. Okay. Right. Once you're properly served, again, there's some different dates, but you have either up from 5 to 20 days, depending on why I'm evicting you, to file an answer. So Jason says, wait a minute, I haven't paid my rent because Paul has, not put in the carbon monoxide anti-poison like he's supposed to, or otherwise. Now, Jason, that's not a reason not to pay rent. Sure. But in your mind, you have a reason not to. So you file a response and say, I deny that I should be evicted because he hasn't complied with what he's supposed to do. Okay. Now, if you haven't paid the rent, here's what you're required to do. In that clerk of the court's, filing number, you go down and let's say you haven't paid for 2 months and it's $1,000. you go down and put your $2,000 into the clerk registry. Okay. What does that do? Well, I got news for you, Jason. You're not moving out or having to move out, even if you lose for several weeks, if not months.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay? So you get served. Now, here's what
Wow.
happens. Uh, if the tenant just ignores it, okay, well, that then moves this process exponentially forward.
Faster.
Well, now you have a default. So now
Okay.
you're saying, basically, whether you're saying it or not to the court, you're saying, I am wrong.
And I'm avoiding.
The
Yeah.
landlord is correct
Yeah.
because I have failed to answer. So I'm basically just telling the court, yeah, he's right, I'm wrong. I have been defaulted.
Okay.
Now, when that occurs, what happens is then there has to be a hearing for possession. You got to get a court hearing, and the person's got to go in and says, Judge, look, we've got a default, and I want you to give me a writ, an order that I take to the sheriff. And the sheriff says, Jason, here you go, get the hell out. And Jason's got to go. But
all quite a process, though.
It is. And so, first and foremost, don't panic. You're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
So to speak. Number two, though, if you really haven't done what you need to do, then start thinking about leaving and working on.
You're in the wrong.
New places. Right. But honestly, what people don't realize also, more importantly, you should try to work out an exit strategy with your landlord, because even if you win an eviction case, these landlords will go to the clerk's office, type in your name, and if you've been involved, whether you win or not, in an eviction, they're not renting to you.
Right.
And think about it from a psychological standpoint. I'm renting my home, and there's 25 people that want to rent my home. The people that I look online that has some form of eviction, whether they're right, whether they're wrong, what is it? Where there's smoke, there's fire. Something happened. I don't need that in my life. I got 24 other people that I don't see any eviction issues. And so, and I know a lot of apartment complexes.
It may not always be fire, but it's definitely a chemical reaction, and I'm not sure I want to be around it.
Yeah, right. So an eviction may very well prevent you from being able to rent or lease an apartment or someone else's home, because they just don't need it.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need you anymore. I mean, at least not in
Florida's very quickly turned into the most expensive place to live. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
That's wild, man.
But so that's it. So if you get the notice, first thing you should do is reach out to the landlord and say, hey, can we rectify this situation?
Yeah, work it out.
Most of the times,
civil.
It's one of two things. They've butted heads, and I want you out, and you got to go. And ultimately, at some point, you're going to go. The other is you haven't paid, and you're going to go. But of course, that problem is you probably don't have any money to go, but you're going to go. And if you want to stretch it out as long as you can, then when you get served with that complaint and the summons, file an answer. And it tells you how you write down, I deny all the allegations, and you send it to the landlord and you send it to the clerk. Doesn't have to be anything formal, but you have to respond.
Wow. So you guys get all kinds of calls, man.
All kinds.
That aren't just personal injury and car accidents.
No, and stuff like that. And again, these latest were one was the plumbing issue. And it was more the tenant wanting to know, how can I make the landlord live up to its obligations? Number one. And the other was, it was a lady in Lake Wales where I don't know what's going on, but it was an RV park, and he stole her RV allegedly.
What?
And so I'm like, well, I don't do that. You're in Lake Wales. God bless you. But it was even funnier because she called us, but like Bay Area Legal Services in Jacksonville. I think she has some either blind or she has some. So they hired someone.
Okay.
I'm like, ma'am, you have a lawyer.
Yeah.
I think she wanted. I don't know. What she wanted. I think he cut off her electricity and all of these things are illegal. Uh, you know, for a tenant,
Jeez.
for a landlord to do. They can't cut off your
What?
electricity. They can't cut off your water. They can't. It's called retaliatory.
Yeah.
Steps.
Yeah.
But they do it, and then
We're back. This is medieval times, man.
well, and the sad thing is, to be honest, and I'll be the first to admit it, you know, you have a cause of action against that landlord, but what are your damages? And how much
Right.
are you
Yeah.
going to have to pay a lawyer to get what you may be
True.
entitled to? Now, I will tell you this.
And if they want you out, eventually you're out.
Well, that's the bottom line. But if someone were to cut off somebody's electricity or their water or whatever, and they're on dialysis or something, and they die,
Oh man.
a landlord is, and pardon my my legal analysis,
Yeah.
they're screwed.
Buried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's typically not what happens.
No. Yeah.
And so,
Dude, that.
and then the damages would be, what's it worth to be without electricity? Now, to me, it'd be a lot. No air conditioning, no heat, and this, that, and the other. But it's just, the problem is it's lawyers aren't just they're just not gonna take that case on a contingency fee. So you're gonna have to pay them up front, and
Right.
and the damages are just just probably not worth it. Having said that, there may very well be lawyers that this is how they make their living. I don't know.
It's possible.
So you would call your bar association in the county. Most counties have a Hillsborough County Bar Association. The Florida Bar has some referrals. You would try, and there maybe there's a market I'm not aware of where people can bring these causes of action against landlords for wrongful tactics and make money. So,
that's an interesting.
I don't know the answer, but you can find out. You can find out.
That's an interesting thing for another video to talk about how to use the Florida bar as a non-attorney. Like, what do you do? How do you interact with it? What's its purpose for us?
And say, look, I'm having eviction issues, and they probably have
like a list.
You would call them.
Because I've never thought about calling anybody but you guys, because I think when I got to the age where I needed an attorney, I knew you.
Remember, nowadays, you don't need the Florida bar. You go to Google and say eviction attorney.
Also true.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. Like, I know that we advertise on Google and stuff like that, and we keep it up and up. There are a lot of ring around the rosy, like finding services and
here's one.
You can get a lot of
eviction attorney
nonsense.
$600 flat fee.
Yeah. Okay.
That's not bad if it's truly a $600 flat fee.
Right. Exactly.
And the list goes on. So there's plenty. Landlord tenants. Here's another one. So they're out there, obviously.
Yeah. Apparently.
And so, all right. Well, listen. It's
lightning,
15,
evictions.
15 minutes. So what's going on? The Rays are doing fine.
Yeah.
The Yankees are on fire. But
Speaking of lightning,
my brother Jody, of course, he played Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And he's now a coach with the Marlins. He coached with the Yankees. He coached, managed at the AA level with the Dodgers. Yada yada yada. And it's interesting and left, and we'll see what happens. He basically said this: the Yankees have a big boys, big players. Judge 6'6", Stanton. He says they're not baseball bodies. Okay.
Yeah.
So he goes, what happens is April and May, they're on fire. They're hitting homers. They're doing this, doing that. But their big baseball bodies start to break down.
Okay.
And honestly, if you go and you can Google this year in and year out.
Yeah.
About June, July, August, all of these Yankee players start hitting the DL, the disabled list. Hamstring, low back, this, that, and the other.
Interesting.
And then the Rays, who have 5'10", 6'1",
Right.
guys that are more what you kind of back in the day thought to be baseball players. That's when we go to first place.
Interesting.
Our guy, even though we got a lot of guys injured right now, but I'm just saying it'll be interesting to see.
That I've never thought about that.
It'll be interesting, to see
Yeah.
how the big Bronx Bombers, if they can maintain their physical health, or do they start breaking down and the other teams rise to the top?
I've never thought about baseball from that perspective, like the kind of team makeup, body type, size, and things like that, fitness levels of different types. Because even among like powerlifters and CrossFit and different things like that, they have short-term bursts or the long game. Like their health plays out in competitive arenas in different ways. I never really made that connection to baseball though.
That sounded like a Kamala Harris babble.
Whatever.
Can't we all just work together? We're just going to work together, Jason. What are we going to do, Jason? We're going to work together. We're going to work together, Jason. We are going to work together.
Together. That's friends. And if we're going to do friends, and you know how your friends are. And they're friends, and it's
that was
friends.
Funny. All right, yeah. All right, well, heck, like I said, it's sunny out.
It's
what is it, Labor
no.
Day?
Yeah, it was stormy. That was what I was gonna say about lightning.
Yeah. Oh.
There was 1,000 strikes per hour earlier this morning, like in the early mornings whenever it was raining, and the storms were rolling in. That was nuts. They were saying not to go outside. It was pretty packing. The sky was packing heat.
Hey, hold on, look. Brittany sent me a snap of her dogs. Hold on a second. The one on the right's old.
Move it to the center.
Shepherd. The one on the left's a puppy.
Murphy, come here. Murphy, come here. Murphy, like your glasses?
You can see my kids have a lot of time on their hands.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, we love Brittany, so shout out to Brittany. She is getting her master's up in over at USF.
Exciting.
From like the Washington D.C. area, because where she is an emergency room nurse still, so she's
Fantastic.
working and getting her master's. So you know what, people?
Cool.
Hard work pays off, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Government handout, keep them. Here at Read and Read, we'll work hard for you, just like my daughter's working hard to get her master's.
That's awesome.
All right, well, I threw that one right in out of nowhere. All right, Jason, take us out.
Take us out.
God willing, we'll see you next week.